Here we go. Live. All right. Welcome. Thanks for coming over. And yeah, I have basically no idea what you do or who you are, almost at all. You just put coach, I believe, right, in the form. So I'm like, cool. Okay. Like there's so many different types. And so
Exactly.
yeah, tell me first, what is it like to be you?
What is it like to be me? Wow. That I don't even know where to go with that question, right? Like it's like is it my identity? Is it my being? I believe I live a very different life than
Mm,
most people.
okay.
Here I live in Playa del Carmen. So I live a life where I say it's very conscious, very sacred, and I designed it that way because this is what is it like to be me is in this phase of my life I like to be deeply more inward and understanding who is my authentic self and what is that authentic self wants to express into this world, create into this world, be in this world. One of the important thing I say is we're human beings. Who are you being each day? And if you're waiting for the future you're gonna wait forever. The time is now. So what is it like to be is I embrace the every aspect of my human being as much as I can in order to be present with myself and in my body.
Okay. Amazing. Wonderful, wonderful answer. I like um I like this question because it kind of yeah people can take it anywhere and you like relatively quickly find out like a lot of the answers. This is a little bit different because we're doing podcasts and we're doing coaching and we're doing business and all this. But when I ask like say regular people, a lot of them say like horrible or it sucks. I'm like wow really tell me more and like they straight up um it's better than asking how are you you know like
Yeah,
oh hey how are you hey I'm good. Okay.
yeah.
What tell me more, Um, yeah.
I
So,
often even ask, like, how is your heart? Or how are
ooh,
you
that's a
really
good one.
feeling right now in this moment? Yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, awesome. What's your story? How did you become a coach? And what kind of coach even are you?
Okay, so first of all, I'm a somatic and intimacy coach
Okay.
and a spiritual guide. And I'm also trauma informed. And I didn't accidentally become this way. As you know, talking to a lot of people, all of us go through a certain life path. And we were just jumping on, and I was telling you my first language is Bengali, and that's because I grew up in Bangladesh. My parents are Hindu. We grew up in a Muslim country. So very early on, I had this conditioning around me like, oh, I don't belong here. You
Mm,
know, I'm not totally accepted here. Like, so I'm not like, I'm different than the others. And then we immigrated to the States in my teenage years. And again, I had that same level, but more intense feeling this time because this time I didn't speak the language. We were immigrants and we really didn't like we didn't have the money to like really survive at that moment, so we were in that survival stage, get navigating a new country, new culture. It was a complete shock, a new language that none of us really spoke. It was definitely a pivotal point in my life, of course, that made me also get more inwards and understand who I am really. And it was throughout my life, I realized like, I love different cultures, I love different people. I have a way of navigating with people one to one and make them feel comfortable. No matter what I say, what I do, it's not really about that, it's about the energy that I bring. And most of my life I was chasing a dream that was of my parents and the society. I was chasing money, status, success in like the most, someone else's definition of success. So you can imagine when I moved to the States, we had to work really hard. I had to get grades. I had to, right? Who someone conditioned that into me. I accepted that as my belief system. and I went to a great college. I had the corporate job. Everything in my life like seemed like wow, like that American dream. I made it. And inside, I was really unfulfilled. I was going through severe health issues, and it was at one point I had to take a sabbatical and travel around the world. And this sabbatical made me realize, like, wow, I really love traveling. I really love new cultures. I love learning. And I love learning as an adult because as a child, it was almost like I felt that I was told what to learn. Our school system, right? We have all these rules. And it was finally, I was learning things I was more curious about. It wasn't about achievement anymore or this success, it was just about enjoying. It was the first time in my life I felt like I was really getting to know myself and enjoying. And I hadn't felt that in a long time. So while I was also going through a really severe health issue, and I seeked out functional doctors and many others in the field while I was traveling, and I was learning natural medicine. I was learning natural modalities of healing. Where did you grow up, by the way?
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. Oh, we have to talk about that. I love Czech Republic.
Okay.
So we, like in how we grow up, we're very much conditioned by the society, our parents, and the belief and the thought systems around us. So it's
Yes.
up to us to really understand who are we at our core. And there were a lot of trauma and a lot of hardships and challenges I went through as a child that was really ingrained within me, made me very hyper vigilant. So I had to seek out help, and I had to seek out, like, how can I break free and really truly understand, like, what is it that I really want? What is it that I really create? Because we are the creators of our own reality. So through this process of journey of like traveling, being a digital nomad, helping others, psychologists, other healers in the field, I was quite naturally helping them. While I was, seeking help from them, I was helping them with their business and many other things because I had those skill sets. I realized that I was a natural coach. So I initially became like coach for the healers. And then what happened was I just like started acquiring all these different modalities, different coaching methods, different therapy methods, as well as more spiritual teachings from shamans and like wise guides going into yoga, Ayurveda, and learning all these ancient teachings. And I decided to combine everything and make it into a method that worked for me and a success method that I can apply to others. And soon enough, like it was working. And I just said, wow, like now I have all these certifications, all these years of experience. It's time for me to really, really like follow this path. It took me a long time, like I had an imposter syndrome, even though I had all these certifications, all of these training. And what I realized was deepest to our core, we are all on a journey and we go through these similar things. Like, when are we acting out of fear? Are we making decisions out of fear? And if we are, it's because of childhood wounding, because of our conditioning. All of us if you go back to the moment of childhood, when you're interacting with your caregiver, perhaps your mother and father, what are you seeking? You're seeking safety, you're seeking love, you're seeking connection. And you notice that based on their behaviors, they're going to change your behavior. If they want, if you're creating a beautiful painting and you show it to them and they're like, oh, good job, this is amazing, right? And they're like, oh my God, my parents like it when I like paint them something beautiful and that they encourage you in that path. Or if you come home from school and you get all straight A's, they're like, you did an amazing job. Or if you, let's say, did not so well in mathematics, they're like, we need to get you a tutor. You're not good here. You're not doing well here. And then you change this belief like, I'm not good enough. I am like something within me like is something wrong with me. You're making this belief system such a from a very child's mind, And you realize as an adult that, okay, these are these survival strategies I did as a child, and then they're still running my life as a 30 some year old, 20 some year old, 40 some year old, even to 50s and 60s. All of a sudden you become more aware of your patterns. You're like, ah. So that's what happened to me. I went through this whole awakening process of my own patterns, my own journey, my own like a severe trauma that I had to really face head on with the right support. And then I said, I want to be of service and I want to help others. So now what I do in my practice is help people from burnout, help people from stress, and help people find their highest potential, but living a more authentic life to their authentic. All of us have different paths. We have different hobbies. We have different expressions of ourselves. And also, what does it us truly want? Love, connection, safety. And that comes in that intimacy coaching. When I talk about intimacy coaching, it's really understanding the patterns of our childhood and getting deep to the core, vulnerability, authenticity. From that, when you understand yourself, you can truly attract your divine partner, your divine
Mm,
love, that may be. So that's the, you know,
okay,
medium
nice.
version.
The medium version. All right, I love it. That's awesome. That's yeah. There's so much that you touched on. Well, one thing that I guess where I'm gonna start is you said you went through this whole awakening. Would you say that there was like a moment in time when you were like, okay, this is not working? Where like what caused the awakening? Like what happened?
Yeah, there's several pivotal moments, and you can even say like there were like a spiritual awakening. There was like a awakening of my own patterns and consciousness awakening, consciousness shifting. However you see it, you just start to see your life in a different way. So I think the first one was that taking that sabbatical and realizing that I
Mm.
was totally burnt out and I was trying to achieve, do, get things, get money, status, power, managing like big teams. And my ego was like, ooh, I'm this big shot. Like, but really, I wasn't happy. So, first, it was just realizing and accepting I wasn't happy. And I was like, how can I be at peace with that? And so that was my first awakening process. It's like for the first time, I realized that I was doing something for fun, something for enjoyment. And that was important to me. That I didn't realize that that was something that was core important. Life wasn't all about like the money and the status and all these other things. Those are just conditioning that I have. Those are the conditionings I grew up with, or like beliefs of my parents because they grew up very poor as an immigrant as well, and they were not given the opportunities I was given. So it was my opportunity, my turn to turn things around. I often, and your ancestors and our ancestors, they came before us and they lived in a different time. So it's like a waterfall that kind of falls in, and we continue with that. We continue with that level of prosperity, authenticity, and weave in this new pattern for all of our lineages. So that was my awakening in understanding that my life is up to me and I decide. I'm the creator. And yes, there's a higher power. Yes, there's like a magical thing that happens. So when you really start to do things for yourself, and it's not a selfish thing. We're so told like all of these things that we do is like a selfish thing. When you just understand there's a higher power and life can get better, you can feel happier, you can feel better. I've cured my autoimmune that I was diagnosed with at 18 years old just by, like having a better lifestyle. Something that Western doctors told me I would take a pill my entire life, I cured it because I went for my joy. I went for my happiness. I did something for myself. And in turn, when you're happier, healthier, a better person, you can only expand that ripple effect to your community, to your partners, to your family. So it's really comes about self love and self care. And that was my first awakening process. The second was really learning about all of these different modalities and finding my own path, creating my own methods, and finding what works for me and designing a life around what career means to me, what success means to me, and that gets a little bit deeper. And from that, another level of awakening. And I was keep in mind, like all of these years, I after my sabbatical, I decided it was it for me. The corporate job was not for me. So that was like a bold moment, a bold leap of faith I took. I had no backup plan. Not for not everyone's going to do this, and it's not for everyone. At that time, I was so at my desperation and hopelessness. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't imagine living in that environment. I had to take myself out of that environment, create new thoughts, create new belief system, and get to a baseline where I felt better. And that's what I needed to do. Not, like I said, it wasn't something I advise for everyone else. And it takes tremendous courage to have so much faith in yourself, in the universe to take that bold step. And
Mm-hmm.
just assume that everything is going to work out for you, right?
Yeah.
So that was a pivotal moment. And yeah, since then I've lived in many different countries. Like I studied with many different healers and shamans and coaches, mentors, and I just created a method. And all that is I get to help people become the best version of themselves, and whatever that best version of themselves, and truly just accept exactly where they are today as they're becoming that person, as they're magnetizing everything that they want in their life. My life may not be something that someone else wants, and that's okay. Like, I am also, like an art that's like I'm still being created. So it's about what you truly want from a soul level. And that's for me where like the most pivotal moments in life is like when I dropped into my heart space, not my head, not from a thinking brain. I dropped into my heart space and asked myself, what is it that I truly want in life? Those are those moments, and I claimed it. The main piece of this is claiming exactly who you want, what you want, staying true to yourself, and make no non-negotiables about it, and then you'll see your path becoming more and more clear. I'm very curious if you've had these moments in your life.
A little bit, maybe. I'll tell you more. I'll tell you more for sure. I
Mhm.
guess last thing before I tell you my story is how long ago was this? Like, how long ago was the sabbatical? How long ago did you quit your job and started doing this full time?
Yeah. So my awakening process started shifting around 2013. Then I took that sabbatical in 2015. That's a long
Okay,
time. I look
okay.
young. I know. When
I'll
you do this work, you age gracefully. You don't age, baby. Age, reverse age. So, and then I finally quit and took the bold step uh, in 2018. So it took several years in between, a lot of
okay,
resistance and learning process. And then I shifted into my own coaching, and especially recently when I'm living in Mexico, this is where I'm coaching. Especially the recent years, I'm coaching men on one-to-one because they
okay,
are in such powerful positions to make great shift into this world. They're so action based, and this type of level of work is not available to them. And I host retreats here in Mexico, so it just became a home. And
okay.
previously I lived in the
So you're
state.
doing it like locally, in person.
It's all online, and
Okay, but the retreats
clients,
are offline. Okay,
yeah,
nice.
retreats
And
are here.
only men? Is it only men?
I was working with women, and I still have several women in my program,
Okay,
especially for the women in the corporate world who's been burnt out, stressed. They're not living according to their cycle, their like the way of being. Men and women are biologically different, as you know, and men have a 24-hour cycle, and
Yep.
women have a 28-day cycle, and based
Yep.
on that we have to live in a certain way. Our hormones shift. So
Yep.
I was switching them with all of this too. So I still do this, and then
Okay.
recently I've been working with men, and it's
Okay.
been amazing.
Nice. Awesome. Why the reason why I was like kind of like ooh 2013 is because that's where like my awakening or started, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm 24 now, so it was
Oh,
very young, very at a very very young age. I was 13. I'm born in 2000. I'm the year 2000. You know,
oh
the
my
best year
goodness.
that's living right now. Anyways,
Yeah.
um, so I had when I was yeah back in 2013, I was obviously in primary school, a small kid, and I had three S's: shy, small, and smart, which made me the perfect target for bullies, right?
Mm.
It's the small, tiny nerd who cannot speak up for himself. Let's get him. Um, so I was bullied in school, and my parents had a very non-functioning communication, almost non-existent, and their form of communication was screaming, like very aggressively and violently. So um, at home, basically every other day or on a very much very regular basis, screaming and never really like physical fighting, you know. So thankfully it didn't get to that point, but it was like verbally violent. And
Yeah.
at and in school it was bullying. So basically both of those parts kind of sucked, caused very bad social anxiety. I could barely speak up, and um, I would like always shake in front of people, you know, like just pretty bad
Mm.
social anxiety and my heart beating super fast, sweating and stuff. And I just couldn't live like that anymore. And at the time, there was a bunch of news in my town of like people jumping in front of trains. I'm like, I might just do that. Like, I genuinely started considering jumping in front of the train as well. She's like, what's the point of this? Like, why keep suffering, you know? And two things happened that like started to change everything. One, I don't remember how. Like I don't know, I don't remember, but I came across videos on YouTube called Restoring Hope in Humanity. And it was these like 13 or 15-minute montages. It was so many of them of people doing random acts of kindness, like from small things to bigger things, like helping somebody across the street or to like running into a building that's on fire to save a dog or to save kids. And I was watching that and I like literally cried my eyes out for like weeks after I discovered the videos. Like every day after school, I would just be like on my bed watching the videos, and it actually gave me hope. You know, like it's kind of a cringy headline, oh, restoring hope in humanity, but it actually did, right? Like it actually helped. So that gave me kind of the opening, like the light at the end of the tunnel. But then I was like, what do I do now? Like, what do I do from here? And I went online again and I googled how to be happy, and
Mm.
that's how I kind of introduced myself into the full world of self improvement and personal development, where just started learning about belief systems and changing my habits and doing all this. And so when you spoke like, oh yeah, we as you grow up, you pick up all of the belief systems of where you grow up. And you know, I was growing up in a small town in the Czech Republic, so not really exposed to too much variety. But online, I started learning all of these different ways, and
Mm-hmm.
still very young. So started implementing it very heavily. Got pretty obsessed about personal development. I would just like after school would watch these videos, and my mom would yell at me of like, well, "You're always on your phone, just watching videos." But she didn't understand what I'm watching, right? She
Yeah.
thought that it's all video games or something like that. And I was quite literally working on my personal development. And by the time I was 15, so I would say it took about 2 years. I was like, okay, I'm ready to like really tackle and challenge my social anxiety. So I decided that I'm gonna speak to girls on the bus on my way to school.
I
Because
love it.
as a 15-year-old boy, right, who's anxious as well and shy, like, I
Hmm.
want to be able to speak to these beautiful girls, and I just couldn't. Okay, if I can do it on a bus, then I can do it anywhere, right? Because if she rejects me and I embarrass myself, like everybody in the bus is going to see it, right? And I failed like so many times, and I remember like day after day of like the stop of my school, and like the bus being like bing, and you open the door. I'm like, fuck, that's my school. I have to leave. And just looking at the person that I wanted to talk to and just couldn't do it, and just kind of stayed focused on it. Took a while, and I found kind of my own way of shifting my body. Right? So I went from being like to a kind of like okay, and started the conversations, and that's how I got rejected a bunch of times, but also had some great conversations. And fast forward about 4 years later to 2019, I was like speaking to anybody, waving at strangers, joining groups of strangers, and like depression was basically completely gone. I was like doing all of this, and I was like, I wasn't necessarily like a popular kid, but I definitely wasn't bullied anymore. I was doing very well
Mhm.
still, like with being smart. I kept that. So I was still doing very well in school and like internships and programming. I studied robotics and automation and stuff. And I was like, I think I need to start like going out and speaking out and sharing my story and sharing what I've learned, because all of these things that actually helped me and changed my life and quite almost literally saved me from suicide. There were other things and that I didn't mention about the story that actually helped as well, but these were
Mhm.
two huge things. And I was like, have to start sharing this, because you know nobody taught me, nobody told me. And then I found out that I can actually do this as a business, and I was mind blown, because my belief systems from my parents was like, oh, if you want, rich people are rich because they take advantage of poor people, and if you want to make money, the only way to make money, like really money and ethically, you have to go into a factory and you have to like slave away your time. Like
Yeah.
they would quite like use in translation, they would use these like very heavy words like slave away your time and like work like a maniac almost, like just for this other person, and that's how they will pay you. And I was like, that kind of like what how is he making money though, like I'm slaving away my time for him, but like how is he making the money to pay me? Like what's happening here? So I was kind of like
Mhm.
I don't believe in that totally. But then when I found out that there's something called coaching, I was like, nah, that has to be a scam. Like they're telling me that I can make money with something that like I went through and it helped me, so I could help others,
Yeah.
so I could like improve the lives of others. I can make money with it, and it's all online, so I can like travel the world and be a digital nomad and all this. Sounds like a total scam, like. But I still decided to kind of investigate a little bit more, and I did get scammed a bunch of times with like a bunch of courses and whatever, but still stuck to it. And in April 2022, I quit my job and started traveling full time. So I've been doing coaching full time since then. Mostly focused on social anxiety, and then a little
Mhm.
bit later shifted, also added like a imposter syndrome to people who want to start sharing their story, or who want to start sharing their art, or start creating content or singing, and they're shy or scared or feel like they're not good enough. Still related to social anxiety, just like on a little bit of a different level. And that's what I've been doing since. And yeah, it's really great. I've been to about 24 countries. I lived in Mexico for 2 months as
Oh.
well.
Oh,
Um,
really? Where?
in Mexico City, we were
Yeah.
in Roma Norte,
Yeah.
and the second I lived in Puerto Escondido for a month.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
was fun. That was great. And
Yeah.
now, yeah, now I'm in Vietnam, but I've been all over Southeast Asia. I've been like half around Europe. Lived in the States for only 3 months because of visas and whatever.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's been, if I would answer what is it like to be me nowadays, it's like sometimes it sucks. From the outside, it might seem like it's only a dream life, but sometimes it's very hard and I have to work a lot. But
Mhm.
ultimately, overall, yeah, wonderful, wonderful life, wonderful experience that I had to work for. And even though I'm very young, 24, it wasn't like an overnight success. It's like a decade in building and decade in the making.
Yeah. And it's so incredible. Like I say everything uh is happening for you. You getting bullied, it's not nice. Like in our world, my world, I would say that's a trauma. Also, growing up in a chaotic environment creates These are called attachment styles, and you might be interested in it. If you are in a relationship and like this shows up in relationships, is we have all these different attachment styles based on how we interacted with our environment and our parents, right? So you could be very anxious in your relationship with partners, or your friends, like you always need the validation from outside. You could be very avoidant because you're just scared to have too much intimacy, too much like close connection. You could be both, depends, because depend on what, if you grew up in a very chaotic environment, you can actually pick up both. We call it disorganized. And then obviously the aim is to become more secure, and how you become more secure is to overcome these challenges in your life and understand, start to question things. Like you were clearly like, wow, like as I call you like the rainbow child, and all the children that come in the 2000s are like,
Oh, okay.
they are on a like a fast track to this awakening because they're just like questioning everything so early on. I mean, yeah, I questioned as a child, and I was really like punished for questioning. A lot, like, growing up in societies where there were like really young marriages and like, arranged marriages. I questioned all of those, but I was really punished,
Yeah.
right? Uh, and like you said, like being in a violent household, I can totally relate. Like, and that creates such a um you question things about your own self, like something is inherently wrong with me for me to be in this environment. Maybe they're arguing because of me,
Mm,
like start to create all these beliefs, or you start to dissociate and completely shut down, and that's where you become more like this, right? So you have to gain that
yeah.
confidence, and you did it so early on. I mean, I can't believe
So
you're 24.
that was actually for me the interesting part, like everything that you just described, because I started so early and because my brain was still very much forming, right? And obviously I didn't catch all of it and I still got a bunch and I still have to work on stuff and I will have to work on stuff for a long time, most likely, right? Um, and I'm definitely happy to work on myself and work on my stuff for the rest of my life. But I started catching these things like early on and making the
Mhm.
distinctions of like, oh, this is like literally nothing to do with me. Because like I started reading about the subconscious mind and about like all of these things like when I was 13, 14, right? And about like this practical psychology was what I was most interested in. Not really like the technical stuff, so whatever that you would go for, to have a degree in, but like the practical side, like, okay, what can I learn to understand it and then learn and apply it in my real life, right? And I
Yeah.
started seeing like my parents when like I started to understand, okay, now there's a fight coming up like right now because they're not communicating properly, and I can see like, oh, this is what my mom's doing and saying wrong, this is what my dad is doing and saying wrong, there's a fight coming up. And like I started seeing it. And then I started kind of I had a little period, I'm not sure how old I was, but I had a little period was like when I was like trying to like help them out and correct them of like, oh, like this is why and this is why you're not communicating properly. And that was not a good idea. That was not a good idea. It was like, you're a kid, you don't understand anything, shut up. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was, but it was interesting to be able to at least like observe it and kind of like analyze what's happening in from like from the outside. But also like I was thinking, okay, well, I wonder like what's happening in their brain, like why are they this way, and like what happened. And I was like
Hmm.
kind of like asking like indirect questions because they wouldn't really talk too much about their past and stuff like this, right? So I was like kind of asking like indirectly, try to find out about like what was it like with your mom, like I would ask my parents like what was it for you to grow up and all this. I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, that makes sense why you're this way. And like, and then I stopped telling them. I was like, okay, now it makes sense to me at least. So like, psychoanalyze them almost. Um,
Yeah.
and that was like an interesting part of growing up. And and then when I told them a couple times, I told my mom specifically a little bit later. and she was kind of looking at me for a bit, and she like denied it. It was like, nah, doesn't make any sense. You're on analyzing everything like way too much.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, so it was an interesting thing. But thankfully, I did get to catch a lot of these things like early on, and that helped me
Yeah.
so much. Like not that go down the spiral, but create my own kind of what I want to
Yeah.
create and being more conscious and aware of it.
And like you said, your brain was still developing, so you're creating this neural pathways and synapses,
Yep.
and you're just like, like your neuroplasticity now for learning is far greater than an adult brain would be. Like you could see your mom, like how you said, n- subconsciously we do all these things, and our subconscious mind runs 95% of who we are into our adults until we start to see these patterns. And you started seeing it in your parents, and then if you pointed something out, their conscious mind is like, no, that's the ego, right?
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah,
And but
yeah,
you can't save someone that way. You can tell someone all the answers. You see it, right? And with your clients too, I'm sure. You're like, hey, if you just did this, it would be better. And if they're not ready to hear it, and in my world, if their nervous system is not at the level of safety, that's the unconscious, right? And they're not ready to hear it, it's going to go in and out, and they're just going to reject it until some way, somehow, and the way we reframe it, the way we show them the way, and they're starts to feel more safe and calm and present, they can start accepting these truths about themselves, and they say, "Ah, I realize it." It's better if they come to the conclusion themselves. Otherwise, they're
yeah,
a coach is really at the coach. We're not telling people what to do. We're just helping them get to their truth and get
yeah.
to their answer that's going to be helpful for them. And yes, like most of the time, we already know. We just
And
it's how
I've
we communicate.
yeah, I've been so many times in a like a coaching situation where I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, okay, I know what the answer is. How do I ask questions to let them see it as well? Because I know if I just tell them, it's nothing, right? So like,
No.
okay, I'm like, I know, I know the answer. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a yeah, coaching definitely became my one of my by far favorite activities, and
Yeah.
even the first stages, like the initial stages of like trying to figure out the puzzle that is the brain, and like individual brain. Okay, like what's happened? Why did they say it this way? What they where is this coming from? Why do they believe this? Right, and like kind of piecing the puzzle together, and then being able
Yeah.
to help them understand the puzzle as well, and start
Yeah.
rebuilding the puzzle in a way, rebuilding it for themselves, like I did, and I was like chose. This is how I want to be. This is who I want to become, and how do I do that? What are the habits that I have to adopt? What would I have to believe? What are the things that I have to stop believing? And those are usually the big ones, right? Okay, what do I have to stop believing? And
Yeah.
yeah,
And what is like, why am I believing those things? What is the
yeah,
secondary gain in believing those things? Is it keeping me small? Is it keeping me hidden? Is it keeping me in a certain situation that feels safe to me?
yeah,
Because once you realize the secondary gain, you realize, okay, where your safety net is, where your core values are driving from, where is it, and it's that fear and love. Am I operating from a pain based, or am I moving towards pleasure?
yeah. What would you say was the hardest part of your whole healing journey, or like this awakening or
Yeah.
growth journey?
It's something you touched on earlier, is like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily get any easier the more aware and more like more tools and resources you have. It doesn't necessarily get easier. It's just we get more resilient. We know how to
Mm,
navigate situation. So we're humans. It's not like our all of a sudden all the situations get better in all aspects of our life, and we just live this like a very nice, when you're going down the river, like in a floaty thing, and just like a very nice life. No, that does, maybe for some people, at least in my experience, we are meant to evolve as human beings, and I look at it as a spiral moving up. So in each point of that spiral, you have more information, you have more resources, you have more tool, but almost feels like you're going backward because you're seeing a situation that's like, I've been here before. Something like this has happened to me or happened for me, right?
Mm,
Like, what is it different about it now? What did I not see earlier? What are some of the habits and belief system I still have ingrained in me? Because once you work on something and you're seeing it over again, you didn't get to the root cause, and our mind has a way of our, especially our conscious mind is like, oh yeah, you got to the root cause, it convinces us. But when you really dig deep into the unconscious, it's like all these patterns and all these things that keeps us hidden from who we truly are. So you really have to continue to just question everything, question every new thoughts, new coaches, anything that's said to you, and realize that you have to be very open and flexible in your brain and your nervous system to accept those truths. And your clients will be your reflection; they will be your mirror. And that's the thing. Is like, I love when I unlock something in me, it unlocks in every aspect of my life. Like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if one thing improves, you realize that it's improving. But life works in very cycles and phases. So sometimes it's like you're in the high, sometimes you're in the low, and it's all about navigating it. And yeah, I have those emotional moments, and it's like, how can I zoom out and see the bigger picture?
yeah, yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. What's next for you on your journey? What are you planning? Do you have any exciting things coming up, like big projects or something like that? And we are frozen.
Me
Yay.
opening up a few spots. Oop, did I pause?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay.
We are back. Yay.
Yay. What is next for me? So am I frozen again?
Okay. Third time's the
Maybe like
charm. Third. What? Am I the one who's dropping out? I might be. I don't know. Oh.
this is so funny. I don't know if it was on your end or on our end. Uh, okay,
Third
it's
third
really
time's the
interesting.
charm.
Yeah, like I'm very like, like when things like this happen, you ask me three times, and it's like I really had to like feel deeply instead of answering
Mm.
right away, right? That's like what feels exciting and what's next to me. I have to admit, like, I've been hiding in the world. And so it's been really nice to get on these chats and put myself out there. And I'm really excited to attract like a whole different audience. I
Ooh.
played really small for a long time.
Ooh.
Like
Okay.
yourself, like I actually had a speech impediment growing up, and when I
Mm.
started learning English, I couldn't look people in the eye. And you might say like I don't believe you, but communication is one of those things I also worked on. Like I was that shy, young, smart, like child. So I might seem like maybe I was popular in school, but I wasn't. I was very shy, I was very hidden. So that's like one thing in my very adult years I'm working on right now, is to take up that space, and really, but more of a grounded space, not in such a loud way, what's more
Yeah.
authentic to me. So what authentic to my core is just getting really clear about what I want in life, calling in my ideal soul clients for this next level coaching that I've created, especially for men, which I'm so excited about. I already have inquiries, and so I'm opening up that space and creating something beautiful there. And it's like a little, not so little probably, but it's a project that's, it's a baby that's like I'm really nourishing right now. And I've had amazing talks and chats, and I'm very excited about this. I also would love to share with your audience, if that's okay. Have you
Yeah.
ever practiced breath work? Like,
Yes, I have.
yeah, and what kind?
Hmm? What kind? Holotropic breathwork.
Beautiful. So one of my most significant moment in my body, what unlocked for me was this type of breath work. I was in Peru and I was doing this
Mm,
long breath work, and I had this like another spiritual awakening where I felt so connected to my body. Like, when you do this breath work, you create your own DMT inside of you, so you just
it's
feel so
intense.
good.
It's
Yeah.
intense.
So I would love to invite you to my next breath work. And
Okay.
I created my own method, very much like holotrophic. It's about
Okay.
45 minutes, an hour and a
Okay.
half with opening and integration. It's a beautiful healing practice. And I do it once a month online. And this is like one of the gift I give to the world. And right now is free to join. So I'd love
Oh
to
yes.
invite you, and I love growing this
100%.
community. Yeah,
100%.
I'm a breathwork practitioner. So you didn't know what I do. I didn't even send you my bio.
N- No.
I'll send it over if you'd like. But yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
breathwork
Cool.
practitioner, and I did Winoff,
Awesome.
I did holotrophic, and I created
Nice.
my own. So this is the type of retreats
Yeah.
I hold both online and in person. So
Nice.
this world where you don't need anything outside of yourself. You're innate. Your own breath can truly heal you, and
Yeah.
it's my magical power.
That's awesome.
So
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
Definitely send me the invite. I can also tag
I
it
will.
in the comments and or
Beautiful.
in the description of the live. Yeah, that would be awesome. I have had a few experiences, very emotional experiences. Not super, I would say, um, like not hyper spiritual yet. I've done a bunch of sessions, especially when I lived in LA,
Mm-hmm.
with my friend. There was this like super cool guy doing holotropic breathwork every Tuesday. I think I went like 4 or 5 times or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. Very, very great takeaways and like clearing and healing and
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, if you do that online once a month like that, love
Yeah.
love it.
I'm happy
Definitely
we
send it to me.
connected. I would love for you to be there. Yeah, and see
Awesome.
what experiences
Yeah.
take you.
So
And it
are
doesn't
you?
have to be spiritual, you know.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. And then every time is a little bit different based on like what you, yeah, what you need. Um,
Yes.
awesome. I was gonna ask something. Right. You said you like to build that community, right? So very quickly we can touch on that. Um, what is the community about for you?
Ooh, okay. Like, do you mean like what's my ideal
Well,
community?
now
Who I
okay. So when
want?
you said that you do a monthly event, like monthly breathwork, you mentioned the word community, right?
Uh-huh.
So do
Yeah.
you look at that of like the people who come to the breathwork as like this regular event, as the event is the place to foster and maintain and like grow the community?
Yeah, so in this community, this is a community where people love the breath work. There are in the personal development space. So we have this core values that are very similar, the core intentions that are very similar. So that's the community's like
Okay.
foundation.
Yeah.
And it's all online. It's for people all over the world, and that's what connects us too, is like something as simple as breath work, transformation, personal development, bettering ourselves, what binds us. So that's the
Yeah,
community. And
awesome.
community is huge for me, huge for me.
Same
Hmm.
here, same here, because I used to be a shy, lonely kid. So,
Yeah,
so now, especially now that I get to do this and I get to really focus on it, one of the ways that I grow and foster and try and build community is a weekly event. I host a weekly open mic event. So we do it in this very like virtual office where we're sitting now. We're like sitting in the audience seats right now, and you can see that
yeah.
there's like a stage. So every Saturday we gather here. We have usually around like 10, 8, 10 people. Sometimes I think the most we had like or around 15 people, and we like get like 5 minutes on stage, so you can share a story or you can sing or you can, we've had people doing guided meditations, we've had people dancing, singing, playing piano, playing the guitar, and we I
Oh,
call it
cool.
con-expression jam, because it's about connecting with each other but also like being able to fully express yourself. So it's like a self-expression and connection, and it's been great. I've been doing it for a few months now, and yeah, it's been like a lovely place. Some of the regular people, you see them every week or almost every week. You also get to
Exactly.
see them like how they become better storytellers and they build more confidence and all of that. Yeah, it's been great. So fostering community through regular events, because I
Yes.
see a lot of talk about communities out there these days, and it's like it's a WhatsApp group or it's a Facebook group. I mean, come on, like this, that's not really a community, is it? But if
Yeah.
you have regular events, that's where the power of the community is.
Exactly, exactly. Like you need that close connection, whether it's online, like that consistency
Yeah.
is really important. And as a leader, like you have this community, like and now people are showing up, they're building friendships, they feel like they can go somewhere and be themselves, be able to share, improve themselves, and it's beautiful. And I always think, like, in the ancient times, our forefathers, our ancestors, they all lived in tribes,
Yeah.
and they like traded for goods. They had a different lifestyle. We lived in a society. We were used to be much just relaxed, more calm, like pursue things based on, and maybe this was before our parents and much before that, we pursued things based on what was needed, and but also like what was calling to us. And we're finally going back to that society again, especially with your generation, right? You're like, I'm questioning everything, I'm not
Oh yeah.
accepting this level, and creating a whole new paradigm. And it's so
Yeah.
important. What you do is so important. This kind of platform, I wasn't sure what was I was coming into, and just seeing you like just so in your power and being able to create this space and the community. It's so important in this world.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot
Yeah.
of fun. I like to have it when we don't know what to expect, because that's like I'm try to at least emulate a little bit. Of course, it makes it different because we're live and because we've been doing this work for a while. And but I have all kinds of different people. But I try to emulate like a natural conversation, because again, like
Hmm.
the people who follow me a lot and they will be watching this, they want to know how it is to just be able to talk to strangers, or to be able to just, what do you ask?
Yeah.
How do you go when you don't know anything about the person? So I'm actually happy that you didn't send me a bio and I didn't know anything about
Yeah.
you, right? Because I find out, and that's like how you do it when you're connecting with people. When you meet somebody at an event, you're like, oh my God, what an amazing event. Tell me about yourself. And you find out about the people, not like you don't read a bio and then go talk to them afterwards.
Yeah.
Very rarely, actually.
Absolutely. And in this present conversation, it unlocks something within your audience too, like something you or I may have said. They're like,
Yeah.
and that's the most beautiful thing is like being in present and being in this stream of consciousness.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. So thank you so much for doing this. I'm not gonna keep you over the hour, even though I'm pretty sure we could keep talking for a long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
take a picture of us or a quick video. Is that okay?
yeah,
Let
go
me.
for it. Go for it. Yeah.
All right. Andra, tell me about yourself real quick. Who are you?
My name is Ondra. I've been traveling the world for the past 2.5 years. I love people. I used to have very bad social anxiety, and I turned my biggest fear into my biggest passion.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was been a beautiful chat.
Thank you for being here. All right. And yeah, that's
Mhm.
it. Oh, do you have any closing statements or anything else that that you want to say to me or somebody who might be listening in?
It's, you know what you shared earlier about the whole like question everything. Question everything.
Mm, that's a great
That
message.
is, that's a takeaway message. Is like, yeah,
Right,
the
love that
truth
one.
is within you.
All right, that was
Mhm.
what a great conversation. All right, ending the
Yeah.
stream.